Our first reconstruction tonight is the murder of a little girl more than 16 years ago. It's a case that has shocked the nation twice. In October 1975, 11-year-old Lesley Molseed was murdered on her way to the local shop. And for some time afterwards, parents everywhere thought twice before letting young children go out alone. Then, last month, came the second shock. Stefan Kishko, the man convicted of murder years ago, was cleared by the Court of Appeal. He'd spent 16 years in jail for a crime he couldn't possibly have committed. So now the investigation into the murder of Lesley Molseed has reopened. Key witnesses from 1975 have helped us to make this reconstruction. We hear the voice of Lesley's mother, April, but an actress takes her part. With your help tonight, perhaps it's not too late to see justice finally take its proper course. Our film begins in Rochdale in Lancashire on Sunday, October the 5th, 1975.
She loved her music. She liked to be city rollers. That was her passion. She used to run around with a tartan scarf tied round her arm, you know, and be city rollers stocking and whatnot. And her sister used to argue a lot because she was always pinching her sister Laura's be city roller posters, and just a rough tumble little girl she was. It's just she was exceptionally small, that was all. She looked very delicate, very small. She had open heart surgery when she was about 3, which she came through with flying colours. Everybody knew Lesley. She really was a lovely little girl.
Lesley lived with her mother, stepfather and elder brother and sister on the Turf Hill estate in Rochdale. It's Sunday the 5th of October 1975.
And a very nice record that they've suggested is this one.
Lesley? Yeah? Just pop in here a sec, please. Yeah? You just go to the shop for me. I only want a loaf of bread. I want an air freshener either. Okay, I won't be in a minute. Bye.
The local spa shop was in Anstall Road, a 10-minute walk away.
Where are you going? I went to the shops. Do you want anything? No, thanks.
Bernadette Hegarty was 10 years old at the time and lived on the same estate.
I'd known Lesley since we were small. We used to play together. She only lived a couple of doors away. As she was going to the shop that day, I was walking up behind her. We didn't walk up together because we'd fell out at the youth club on Friday over a maxi dress. So Lesley went off up the lane and I went round the other way.
Lesley was never seen again by anyone who knew her. The shopkeeper couldn't be sure that she ever reached the shop. An hour later, a few roads away from the Molseeds' house, Emma Tong was waiting for her son, who'd arranged to take her out for the afternoon.
Through the window, I saw this car with a child sat in the front.
A man in his 30s with thinning, fluffy brown hair got into the car.
It was a dirty, like a beigey colour, with the red round, as though it was ready for respraying. I saw that poster of the little girl when I was going in town, and I thought, I'm sure that's that little girl I saw in that car outside of my house, you know.
By 1:30, Lesley had been gone more than an hour. Laura went to look for her. About 20 minutes' drive from Rochdale is the A672, linking the M62 with Halifax. At about 3:30 that Sunday afternoon, Christopher Coverdale saw something that struck him as odd.
As I came around this particular corner, I saw a man and a young girl on the skyline. He was quite a large chap, portly, receding hairline.
On a cold, misty October afternoon, it was strange for anyone to want to go walking on the moors. At dusk, just over 2 hours later, Sandra Chapman and her husband were driving past the same spot.
There was a white car in the lay-by and it had all this red primer on it, and I took particular notice because it was parked very tightly in the corner and there was no one around.
3 days later, Lesley's body was found just a few yards from the lay-by. She'd been stabbed repeatedly.
Time, doesn't it?
Well, perhaps tonight, Trevor Wilkinson, someone can help find who did kill Lesley and right that terrible miscarriage of justice.
That's right, Sue. West Yorkshire Police last year, having uncovered the evidence that clearly showed that Stephen Kisco was not the murderer of Lesley Molseed, we began re-evaluating the evidence that was gathered in 1975. That evidence revealed very striking similarities between the sightings of Emma Tongue and Christopher Coverdale. That last sighting of Christopher Coverdale was within yards of where Lesley's body was eventually recovered.
What exactly are those similarities that were striking?
In both sightings, the man was, in 1975, believed to be in his 30s. He was wearing a dark brown jacket, lighter coloured trousers, and a light coloured cardigan underneath the jacket. The child's clothing in both sightings was identical to that worn by Lesley. What must now be remembered is that that man would be in his late 40s or in his early 50s now.
And how many people do you have who seem to have seen that white car with the red primer around it?
Apart from the sighting in the lay-by that has been shown tonight, there is 3 sightings in Wellerth Lane near Mrs Tongue's house. 2 of those other sightings, the people are convinced that it was a Vauxhall Viva. One of the people who saw it believe, and he is from the motor trade, believes that it was a 1965 model, and that would mean that it could possibly be on a D plate at that time.
Now, on that afternoon, there was another sighting in that lay-by, it's October the 5th, which could be very significant.
As we passed this lay-by, we saw this ex-GPO van, horrible painted colour, and I just turned around to the door and said, "Oh, look at the colour of that ruddy thing."
Just seeing the van parked there with the rug, you know, all around the windows, that I think made us think that probably somebody was courting.
Now, how important do you think that could be to you?
It's a very important sighting. Mr Jones says that that sighting and that colour of the vehicle is the best one he has seen since 1975. That vehicle, we know, had been in the lay-by or visited on several occasions between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. on that afternoon. It may not be connected with the murder, but it might be somebody who actually was there for other reasons that they couldn't come forward in 1975 who might have seen something very relevant. There was 8,000 inquiries to try and trace that vehicle. It wasn't traced. We asked that person to come forward now who owned the vehicle, who might have seen something. We realised that all the sightings we're asking people to put together, the man, the vehicle and that vehicle, are 16 years old. But what has been impressed us is the clarity of the memory of people who have come forward since 1975. We actually believe that in 1975 there was a member of the public, and a viewer tonight probably, who had suspicions about a member of the family, a neighbour, a friend, a work associate. And now, since 1975, they may have reoffended. They may have come to notice of the police. They may even be in prison now or have served a prison sentence. We want them to come forward and tell us about that person. They may have been very anxious when the body of Lesley was on the moors that day, that time between the 5th and 8th of October 1975. That anxiety would have been relieved when Mr Kisco was arrested and eventually convicted. When his appeal was become successful, that anxiety may have returned. We need that phone call. The nightmare that has revisited the Molseed family twice in 16 years needs to be laid to rest. We want a phone call that will give us a key that unlocks this case and finishes their anguish forever, and also Mr Kisco's.
And this is the number, if you can help, 081 811 8181, here to the studio, or you can contact Bradford Police Station direct. That number is 0800 212 392. That's a free phone number, 0800 212 293.